morning to all of our viewers out there. We are reporting from downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. It is a beautiful Friday. I'm your host Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP today, but we will still be keeping the same flow of the show as normal. We will start off with Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. Then we will go into our all-star political panel. Then we will go into our time with Jesse Barton and finish up with Pet of the Week. So we are definitely glad to have you here with us this morning. And when we come back, we'll take a brief break and come back with Dr. William Whaley. So stay with us. Looking forward to today's show.
Helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
8 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP this morning. But don't worry, BKP will be back, and it is time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. Of course, we want to thank Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital, for this segment. Dr. Whaley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. You're a real improvement, on the BKP for the pulchritude in the camera there,
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
You're welcome.
that. So we'll go ahead and go into our first question.
No, you got to ask me why I'm wearing this tie.
Okay, well, I do like that tie.
Why am I
like
wearing
that tie.
this
Why
tie?
are you wearing it? Tell us.
Well, because I'm sitting around thinking today about what sort of response to make to Iran for shooting down the drone. Y'all can talk about that on the expert panel, but I'm thinking the Israelis would send the Mossad in to blow up a power plant or something. But we've got to destroy something that's worth at least 3 to 4 times greater than 100 million, and we've got to not kill any civilians, and it's got to be, I would hope that Iran had something outside of the U.S., outside of Iran, that they could go get in some other country and blow it up, since this happened in international waters. But I'm going to leave that to the expert panel, but that's why I'm wearing that tie today.
All right. Proud American. I like it.
All right, now you can go to the questions.
Of course.
Okay.
No, again, I love
then
that tie.
Then at the end, I'm
It's
going to
great.
tell you, I'm going to give you another one. Go ahead.
All right. What is immunotherapy? I have been told it could potentially help fight cancer, but is this true?
Yes. Now what? No. Hey, you like that, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, okay, fair enough.
we just about every malignancy we've talked about for the last 6 months or a year, we have talked about the therapies and all of the progress being made in cancer therapy today is not on more surgery, more radiation. It is on earlier detection, but it's on learning the genetic profile that made the cancer happen, and what are called oncologic drivers, or genetic mutations that drive that cancer, or unique markers on the surface of the cancer cell that allows you to direct antibodies, which are another form of immunotherapy, toward that cancer cell. So show that first that first graphic there, if you would, Josh. We're not going to have that up very long, but if you take a good look at that, Lauren, that's a lot of cancers there, right?
Yes.
You think about cancer, but if you look at that thing there are 25 cancers on there, and literally every single malignancy on here has at least one new biologic or immunotherapy that is available for it. The more common ones. Let's go to the next one, Josh. In medicine, we have a lot of sayings in medicine, but one of the do no harm and all that sort of stuff. But one of them is that when you hear you hear hoofbeats, you should think of horses, not zebras.
Sure.
Which means that common things are common. So if you look at this big chart here, the incidence of cancer, the 10 most common cancers worldwide, is on the left. The mortalities are on the right. But if you just look, lung, breast, bowel, GI, the prostate mortality is not as high as the rest of these, but liver, esophagus, bladder, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, every one of those has some sort of an immune therapy that is associated with it. Mm-hmm. If you'll show that next one, I'm going to tell some personal stories here in just a minute, because I think I've got a better way of explaining this than this graphic will do. You got the graphic up? This graphic begins with the 1970s. The immunotherapeutic idea really begins in the immediate post-World War II occupation of Japan. I want you to listen, Rick.
I'm listening.
All right. At the end of World War II, Japan had been pretty much flattened, particularly Tokyo and the large cities. Their houses were made out of wood. And there wasn't any place for these people to stay. There was a large epidemic of tuberculosis in Japan. Of course, there's tuberculosis all over the world in those days. So people who had relatively advanced tuberculosis, just like in this country, were isolated and put in this country, we put them in sanitariums. In that country, they put them in isolated places where they were all together. The observation was made that if there were patients who had the malignant melanoma mole metastatic to their lung or a huge mole on their body, or kidney cancer that was huge and had spread and got active tuberculosis, that in a sizable proportion of cases, the tumor shrank. So there was that sort of evidence that something that happens when you get tuberculosis and you begin to fight tuberculosis made those two tumors shrink. Well, those two tumors happen to be the two tumors that have had the least response to standard treatment with chemotherapy and radiation in all of our history. So now go back to the graph there. Back in the early 1970s, there was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, leukemia lymphoma, people all died, and you had to give them radiation, and it was a bad actor. They began to be able to determine parts of your cellular composition beyond just your blood type, so that you could come up with what we call transplantation antigens. So we'll know whether you can get a kidney or a heart from somebody and not reject it. Right. And when they were looking at these lymphoma cells, they found a let's call it an antigen on the surface of the lymphoma cell. It's called CD20. It was on just about every non-Hodgkin's lymphoma there was, and somebody made up the idea of making a human monoclonal antibody that attacked that site. That was the first real monoclonal antibody that was directed to cancer, and it was called rituximab. Of the first 12 doses of rituximab made for lymphoma patients, one dose did not get given because it got bacterial contamination. 4 of the first 12 in the world, probably 11 then, were mine. And patients that I was treating in research. And of those patients, one went into remission with one course of 6 treatments given a month apart, and stayed in remission for 20 years. So rituximab was the first of the monoclonal antibodies. And now let's go to the next. We'll go out, the rest of that here, I'll go to the next. Go to this next one here. It talks about cancer immunotherapies. Got that one? It says 5 types. All right. So this is going to be. I'm going to try and get less and less complicated as we go along here.
All right.
But monoclonal antibodies is the top one. That was what rituximab was. The one that you hear most about when we're talking on this show is the Herceptin that is used in breast cancer. That's been around for 10, 12 years. The HER2 gene that drives breast cancer is present on at least a third or more of breast cancers. And the presence of that gene used to be a bad actor and meant that your survival would be less. But once this antibody was developed, it's now a good actor because it allows you to have more things to do for metastatic breast cancer, and those people actually survive longer. So if you look at this slide's about a year old. Immune therapy that recognizes cancer cells. There are 75 monoclonal antibodies on the market today.
Wow.
So when you watch these ads on TV, ask your doctor to come up with this or come up with that. Most of those are part of that 75. Well, let's go over to Phil Mickelson and golf. That'll get people back on the track here. Phil Mickelson's on TV for Humira, for a monoclonal antibody that's directed against rheumatoid arthritis. That's the kissing cousin of rituximab. So the technology that was developed for the treatment of malignant disease with just a slight modification now becomes the TV ad you see for the horror of plaque psoriasis, that you see for ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, the next one here that says immune checkpoint inhibitors is where we're going to go next. But this is the one that you see about lung cancer when you say, ask your doctor if you are a candidate for Opdivo or Keytruda or whatever. These drugs are all terribly expensive, but I started a patient on one of these drugs this past week, and it was $19,000 a month.
Oh my
now
goodness.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good lick,
Right.
Now that's like when you go to get an MR. Let's talk about a hip replacement. You go to get a hip replacement, and the surgical fee is $9,000. Medicare recognizes $900, and they pay $750. So nobody buys a car for the suggested manufacturer's retail price, right? I mean, it's always way below that. That's the way these drugs are. So that $19,000 cost is some foggy, mythical, whatever it is. And with the insurance contracts and with what the companies do for people in terms of making it available, a lot of my patients get the drugs free. There's no, and as I said here a few weeks ago, Northside Cancer Institute has a 5 or more % of the patients they treat are totally 100% free. Well, they're giving them these drugs as well. So it's not, the drugs are terribly expensive. They're terribly effective as well. But the most rapid progress being made now is in this new category of immune checkpoint inhibitors. And then, as it says, at least 6 drugs are approved so far. I think the number is 8 now. These next 3 we're just going to mention and jump off of. Cancer vaccines, there's only 2. People frequently say, well, I read that at Duke they'll take a cancer cell and they'll hook it up to the herpes virus and then give it back to you. Yes, but these at the moment, these are not ready for prime time, and they're still pretty much experimental. This adoptive cell transfer called CART, C-A-R-T, you hear about. I was involved in the 80s in some early research only with kidney cancer. Now, kidney cancer did not respond to drugs. If we could get a good enough hunk of your kidney cancer, we took that hunk of kidney cancer, it was sent to Sweden, In Sweden, and we took your lymphocytes out at the same time, and we sent your kidney cancer and your lymphocytes to Sweden. They took your lymphocytes and then grew them in a pot, and then made those lymphocytes recognize that cancer, kidney cancer, as being a foreign body, like you had a splinter in there, and then stuff would be sent back to Atlanta, and we'd infuse that into the patient. We had about 70% that the tumor shrunk. That was going like crazy when the FDA came along and said, this is not cancer drug research, this is blood banking, and you got to go all the way back to ground zero, and they pulled away the permits for continuing research, and it was another 20 years before, by going through the opposite direction of blood banking, that they were able to come to the point where this adoptive therapy was approved. But it is almost 100% successful when it's used, and it costs about $250,000 every time it's done. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, people love these cartoons, so we're getting to the easy part and the fun part. Is that a pretty cartoon you got up there? That's the one that says, how does immunotherapy work? Okay, that's called a cartoon. All right, on the left, I don't know if you've heard of killer cells, T cells, but you have in your body circulating lymphocytes that differentiate into different types. One of them is called the natural killer cell, and one is called the T cell. Well, the T cell has the ability to destroy a foreign cell, but many cancers have a antidote to it where they can inactivate the T cell. These new drugs, called immunotherapy drugs, like the Opdivo and the Keytruda and the rest, on the right-hand side of that slide there, block the inactivation, allow the T cell to turn itself on. See, it's off over here, on here, and when that boy's on, it goes around and kills.
It goes to work.
It kills the tumor cell. Now, interestingly enough, this isn't chemotherapy. Your hair doesn't fall out. You don't get nauseated. It doesn't mess up your blood counts or anything else. Now, the toxicities that occur with these drugs are important, because once it starts turning on immunity, if it gets a little out of hand, it can get immune to your lung and give you pneumonia, or get immune to your colon and give you bad diarrhea and stuff. But those numbers are 3, 5, and 7% of the number of people that you give it to, which is very much worth the hazard. Whereas the chemotherapy, nausea is high and hair falling out's high and blood counts are high. So these are the immunotherapies that we're talking about today. And when this first began, that first immunotherapy was only, we won't make you pull it back up again, but it was only lung cancer. So when you go back to this most common cancers now, it's good. The same drug works in lung cancers, works in liver cancers, works in bladder cancers, works in esophageal cancers. They're just being released within the last week for cervix cancer. It's more and more and more and more cancers that it is shown to be effective for. Now, they are called anti-PD-1 inhibitors. Well, it's when there's a programmed cell death 1 is what that thing is called. There used to be that most tumors that would respond had to have a 50% positivity rate. Now it's down to 1%. So that increases the number of cancers that can be treated by immune therapy. All right, let's go to this next one, and then we'll be finished with this stuff. Put the one there about what to expect. That says what to expect in 2018. It's mostly what to expect today because it hadn't changed a whole much. But if you just watch television, where it says new things, these anti-PD-1s are now at least 12 different drugs, but it says it's going to be available for more and more cancer subsets. Now, this is the one point I want to emphasize. We always think about cancer into its site of origin. It's breast cancer. There's the bell. the train. We always say you get to hear Blue Ridge wake up. I haven't heard
That's right.
I haven't heard the beer truck, but I've heard the construction, and there's the train.
There's the
All
train.
right, so once we do the genetic profiling of breast cancer, ovary cancer, for example, we use just those two. The genetic profiles are frequently similar or the same, and the therapy that is directed is not directed to the organ itself, meaning the breast or the ovary, but to the genetic composition. So when you look at the bottom thing here, Josh, can people read the bottom left-hand side where it shows the little syringe? Good enough? Okay, that says personalized treatments. So basically now, when they talk about individual personalized treatment for cancer, they're talking about either a genetic profile that they have done with gene sequencing, or a genetic driver done a little bit differently, or an antibody that's present on the surface of the cell so that they treat you different than the person in the chair beside you, both of you with the same type of cancer. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. So immune therapy, from being sort of a just go after the marker and everybody with lymphoma, now is at diagnosis, if it's a little cancer and we're just going to do breast cancer removal and to treat you, that you won't get gene profiling. But if you have any recurrence, or if it's a high risk of recurrence, you'll get gene profiling immediately. Now, the last thing I'll mention, and I'll quit, and we'll BS for a minute, but a few weeks ago, I talked about liquid biopsies. You remember that, Josh? Where when you now can draw blood and get the immune profile of a lung cancer, because these cancers, breast and lung is where it started, shed RNA fragments from the tumor into the blood, not cells, but just byproducts of its genetics that you can capture and analyze, and it'll tell you what that gene is in the cancer. Now, I know that was a lot more complicated than the person asked, but so to answer your question, yes, it's effective, and all the progress, I mean, generally every bit of progress being made today is in that part of directed, personalized, targeted therapy, of which immune therapy is 90%, and the vaccines and the other things are 10%. So if you had had the presence of mind in 2011 or 12 to have invested in these right companies, you could take off from work, because it's like Walmart, where the 50% stock is now worth $150. Now, how's that?
Wow. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Whaley. And of course, don't forget, viewers, if you have a question for Dr. Whaley, send an email to info@fetchernews.com and put Ask the Doc in the subject line. Again, we want to thank Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital, for this segment. Dr. Whaley, what else do you want to talk about?
Well, let's go to the second question, because
right.
I'm not going to particularly answer it, and I'll read it for you.
All right.
Oh, you want to read it?
I'll read it. Yeah,
you read
that's
it.
fine.
Go ahead.
The question is, I have 4 small red spots that have recently shown up on my skin. One is on my left side near my rib cage. The other 3 are on my lower back just below my pants line. They don't itch or hurt and are all about the size of a dime. What could this be? Is this something I should go have looked at by a dermatologist?
All right. I had a whole bunch of pictures I was going to show, but I think there's way too little information for me to do a good job here. A few weeks ago, where they were talking about significant dermatologic conditions, and the first thing I said was, wait 2 weeks and see if it goes away. Mm-hmm. Second, if it's not symptomatic, don't lose a whole bunch of sleep over it, and if it persists beyond 2 to 4 weeks, go to your primary care physician, not to a dermatologist. And when I was putting this thing together of non-itchy, benign red spots that would show up acutely and not have been there, like a lot of us know people who have these little red things on them called cherry angioma. Your grandmama probably has them. You don't. You're too young, but they occur as you get older. Those are just natural things. You don't lose any sleep over them. But this sounds so much like it just recently came up. It doesn't sound like it was that. So if you want to ask a question like that in the future, it would be great if you would take a picture of it and then send the picture with the email. I mean, I know it's way past my area of expertise, but there's a way to send that picture along with a question, right? Josh, is that, you don't know either. Josh, you could send a picture when you ask the question, right? Okay, you'll send a picture when you ask the question. And secondly, it would be very helpful to know if we're talking about somebody who's been outside this time of year, because one of the common things that would have happened here, if you've been out this time of year, where this rash was located, is the chigger bite that gets right underneath the pants line and that distribution, and you'd be able to tell. And then secondly, there's a viral infection that occurs this time of year, but I didn't want to get into that because the pictures didn't work. All right?
I got you. Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be going on this time of year. Allergic reactions, ticks, chiggers.
Ticks. We talked about that last week.
It could be just about anything, especially if you've been out in the woods. You never know.
You don't even have to be in the woods. If you went down to the dock, you walk through a bunch of pine straw. It's been raining like crazy, as we said last week. The mosquitoes are everywhere.
Right.
The ticks are going to be everywhere starting this week, as I said last week, and the West Nile virus should be starting to meet us. Last Thursday, I said, wasn't it? Okay. So anyway, we'll get past that. Now, I gave you a teaser when we started this morning.
Yes.
You usually say, "Hey, what do you want to talk about that's in the news?" Well, I'm on my soapbox when I talk to people about taking the cell phones away from your children. First of all, that cell phone is for an emergency, not for them to be on Snapchat and
playing games.
Well, yeah, and I don't know all the rest of them, but there are a lot of things. And as I said, they should not have it when they go to bed, because they'll be texting all night long and they won't get good sleep. When they get home, you should take it away from them and not let them have it back until they've finished their homework and shown it to you. And then they shouldn't be able to have it while you have a family meal, because they'll be doing this instead of talking to you. But there was a study that was released, today's Friday, released I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, from Australia. Now, who was Darwin? I'll make you answer that question. Who was Darwin? Evolution.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Rick, I want you to listen to this. It has taken tens of thousands of years for our body to mutate for some of the beneficial mutations that make our body like it is today. And I have never heard of an adaptive change in the body that has occurred as rapidly as this demonstrated change in the skull of teenagers that have in the back of the skull right here a spur. Think of heel spurs. Think of a callus in your hand that you hold the hammer in. Now you got to pound with that hammer a lot to get a callus.
Right.
You got to run a lot to get a heel spur. I had a heel spur before I ran the Boston Marathon one time, and they put a big donut in there and injected it with cortisone and Novocaine on the morning of the race, and I was able to run. But listen to this carefully. There has been demonstrated that in adolescents now, if you take a lateral view of their skull, they have developed a spine in the lower portion of the skull, a spur that is not seen in adults. And that means that they have had their head down like this, putting tendon pressure on the base of the skull so much with their video game in their hand or their phone in their hand that they have created on the back of the skull a spur from overuse. Now, if you're 18 with a spur on the back of your head from overuse, it ain't going to cause you any symptoms. But what's going to happen when you're 40? What's going to happen when you're 70? Heel spurs, people have, you'll see people on wheelchairs and stuff because of the pain of a heel spur. These people may end up with very, very severe pain in their neck and their head. And I'm not going to change the behavior of the teenagers in Fannin County or the mountains by ranting, but that's physiologic, biologic evidence by X-ray that it's being overdone. There, I'll stop.
Not to mention the effects of living a sedentary lifestyle from constantly being on your phone.
Or the number of deaths from texting
and driving,
and taking
driving.
We weren't using that one. The number of deaths from taking selfies where people backed off the Grand Canyon, stepped off the curb, and got hit by a car, and the number of skull injuries and fractures, and this just happened to my number one psychiatric consultant in Atlanta. Took a face plant and looks like they were beat up by a baseball bat, walking in the parking lot of Piedmont Hospital, answering a text, and tripped over one of these little things that you come up with your car with. Took a face plant, broke her nose, has got black eyes, black everything. Could have hit her skull and died from texting and walking. So anyway, now you're getting a spur on the top of your skull. How's that?
Moral of the story: go outside more often, live an active lifestyle,
put your
phone down. That's right. Pay attention to what you're doing. Put your phone down. All right, viewers. Well, you can share our Ask the Doc segments with your friends. Just go to our YouTube channel, Fetch Your News, FYNTV, and look for the playlist Ask the Doc. This segment is brought to you by Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital. When we return, it'll be time for the All-Star Political Break. Thank you for your time today, Dr. Whaley.
All right. All-Star Political Panel, you're on next.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Welcome back, everyone, to the All-Star Political Panel.
Yeehaw.
I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP. Rick,
good morning.
what you want to talk about today?
Where should we go?
All right, well, like I said, let's start off with yesterday. Federal court ruled that a Trump administration family planning gag rule to cut as much as $60 million in Title X funding from Planned Parenthood could go into effect immediately.
Where was that court ruling handed down? What state? Do you know?
No, I do not.
Did you read about that?
No, but I don't know why we missed it.
I don't either.
It was just yesterday. I saw it late last night.
Huh. And now I saw the horn thing that Doc Whaley talked about the kids.
I need to go check
phones.
and see if I have a horn growing in the back of my
Planned
head.
Parenthood, they all have horns too. You just can't see them.
They do. They have fangs.
What does that mean if they continue giving abortions? What does that mean?
Yes,
they can't perform abortions, or they'll lose this period?
Yes. So my understanding is they can lose the funding exactly if they keep performing abortions.
This was directed at Planned Parenthood. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
okay.
It was national, not statewide.
It's national.
So this is national. So I mean, does that fly in the face of the Hyde Amendment?
I'll check real fast.
Does that?
Let me add to my horn.
Okay, yeah, that may fly in the face of the Hyde Amendment, which is, a hot button right now, with all the progressive Dem candidates. Gabbard just came out to support the Hyde Amendment, pulling it away, and she actually voted for it 6 months ago.
It's the 9th U.S. Circuit.
9th U.S. Oh, well, who else, right?
No,
that was the federal court that handed it down.
The 9th U.S. Circuit Court handed it down.
What does it say, Josh?
Does
it say anything specifically?
Mm-hmm. That didn't sound like a nice circuit.
Refers to it as a major blow to Planned Parenthood. Granted, the Trump administration's request to lift national and
that's the 11th of them.
The Ninth Circuit is anti-Trump, pro-abortion.
Ninth Circuit, I'm surprised, but Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I haven't
Me either.
researched it, so I don't want to speculate and sound like we're off to the races here. But
Right. If someone knows, call in.
how about we talk about what also happened yesterday, and that's some of the Iran stuff, right?
Yeah.
Shooting a $130 million drone
The drone.
out of the sky.
So they say we
They
were
meaning-
on the Iranians.
Okay.
We is we, and they is they.
Gotcha. I got to get my personal pronouns down.
That we were in their territory, evidently, right?
They said that we
Over
were
their
10
waters.
nautical miles offshore, which is theoretically theirs.
Yeah,
we say we
they're
were
20
15.
miles offshore
We
or
say we were 20.
Okay.
And apparently there was proof beyond a doubt
That
the
we-
Pentagon had all the coordinates.
And where were we? I didn't hear.
We were about 20 nautical miles off. So we were over the Straits of Hormuz,
Yeah.
20 nautical miles off Iranian shore, which put us in international waters.
Whoa.
Now that I think came down from the headquarters in Qatar, where they were controlling the drone, and they've got all the they know exactly the longitude and the latitude of exactly where that ship is at any time. No loss of life, but what happened?
Oh. It was an attack.
Right. There's no question.
Yeah.
Right.
Another attack. So what do we do?
That's the big question.
I like to quote Ronald Reagan, peace through strength.
We got a lot at stake here.
You've got North Korea, you've got China, you've got all of those countries looking to see what our response is going to be. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. They went into the Situation Room. The president was summoned to the Situation Room. They got all of the muckety mucks together. They got the Boltons of the world, and the Secretary of State Pompeo, I think, was there. And at the end of the day, they were ready to roll.
Well, I'll tell you, my sources say,
and these are very reliable sources, I might add.
yes, they are. And they say that for a long time, the deep states wanted us to be in war. I mean, major war with Russia. That was their. If Hillary had won, we'd probably be in some kind of major conflict.
Hillary's a hawk.
There's no
Oh
telling
well,
where-
and they just want our country to go down, and they don't care how we go down. They just want it to go down and be part of the world order. So you've got Iran doing this, and you want to think, why do they do this? I think the deep state, they want to provoke Trump in any way they can, and they did it on the line where it may have been a mile or two. And so here's this ambiguous kind of thing, and they're going to embarrass Trump. He's just like Obama. He's not going to do anything. I mean, it could be just sick. So Bill asked me this morning, well, what would you do? And the first thing I said was, do like the Mossad, go in there and blow up something real important, like their White House. I mean, blow it to smithereens, but don't take credit, just blow it up.
There's two different tacks that I think, based on what you said, where we can go. We can go down the deep state tack and talk about the whys and the wherefores of the big grand scheme of why everybody wants to fight.
Disregard that. Can't ever disregard it.
And
but
then
where's the other one?
The other tack would it be credible to think that maybe the haughty John Kerry, who's been going over to Iran,
haughty is a very nice word. You have spared
Rush
him
uses
what
that. Rush uses that.
You spared him what he really
The
deserved.
haughty John Kerry. By the way, did you know he fought in Vietnam? Anyway.
And took films of him saying, get this, I'm running for senator.
No, I mean, do you think that possibly Valerie Jarrett who just came to light 2 days ago on a big conference, and her face was all over the internet again and all over Twitter. Do you think possibly they're working behind the scenes with their allies, the Iranians?
Yeah, sure. That's the deep state.
Well, yeah, and but that's not the big picture. This is the direct. How can we make Trump look bad and bring President Obama's administration back into the limelight to say, we knew we shouldn't have gotten out of that deal?
What did I just say? What did I just say?
You did.
Think about it as an octopus. You got all
the tentacles.
So Kerry, Jared are here, Obama, Hillary, but then, so you're saying it's not the head, but all the tentacles count. They count. All roads lead to the head of the octopus.
What I was trying to say.
I completely agree.
Yeah. What I was trying to say is that if you look at the big picture and New World Order and deep state, yeah, there's been forever and will continue to be a constant need for war. Why? Follow the money. Okay?
War's a big moneymaker.
Exactly. Munitions, all of the related, and then what happens after the war's settled? Then we go in and the same people are getting contracts to come in and rebuild everything.
That's right. War
So it's
is money. Look all the way back to probably the Civil War. I mean, probably all wars. It's money.
It's
Well,
Look
think
at
about
Halliburton.
The
Look
Great
at-
Depression before we went into World War II. World War II was what turned it around for the economy for this country.
Yeah. The war machine got fired up. Everybody was making money, selling munitions, building munitions, and then what do? We look like the big heroes after everything gets destroyed, and we get the contracts to go in and rebuild everything. Who rebuilt Japan?
Yeah, we're the thing is, remember in the speech Trump gave the other night, he said they want to divide us. Now that is very important because they're doing it on every front. We need reparations. Is that going to be the most divisive thing you've ever seen? I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, they're going to charge me for, my family never had slaves. There are many black people had slaves. I mean, it's just a mess. They're just doing it to divide us.
Right.
There's LGBT blah, XYZ,
They've got like 13 letters.
They're
That's all
divided.
I'm not even joking. It's
I know. That's
keeps
divisive. This is now making it divisive with the other countries. They're dividing everything. They're just taking it and making pieces and discord, and they're just.
Yep.
And then Biden said, "Did you hear him? We may have to do a physical revolution." Did you hear him?
Oh
say
yeah,
that?
he wants war in the streets.
And I bet I don't want to be Debbie Downer, negative Nancy, but he may get it.
Oh yeah. Well, he may. I mean.
Josh, how are we doing on the sun coming in? Do we need to take a quick little break here? Change things around, and then maybe Richie can join us? Great.
All right. Well, we will take a small break to rearrange and let our special guest Richie join us, and we will be right back.
Richie from Boston.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Elijah next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Elijah next to Walmart.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ella, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the All-Star Political Panel. Now, where we left off, we were talking about Iran shooting down our drone. Let's pick back up with that. We were talking about, and BKP called. Of course, he couldn't stand to sit out of this conversation.
You gotta love it. Well, we were on the break changing, making the sun change.
He's calling. We were on speaker and everything. He wants to be here so bad. He can't stand it. But we were talking about Iran, of course, shooting down our drone. This sort of like phony attack to see how we're going to react and everything, see what we're going to do. And now this is a country that, while we were talking to BKP, they have killed, they're responsible for 25% of American soldier deaths. He said they're responsible for 25% of killing and dismembering our boys. And also on the day that John Kerry and Barack Obama went to go sign the Iran nuclear deal, which we all know about, this is a country that their citizens were chanting death to America. Now, why on earth should we be giving any sort of help to a country whose citizens are in the street shouting death to America and killing our sons and our daughters, husbands, wives?
That's an easy question, and it should have an easy answer. We shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. So one has to ask then who did it, and why they did it, and why it was clandestine.
Trump gave him an out yesterday by saying, this could have been done by some crazy general who really didn't check what he was doing, and you saw the reaction to that. The stock market skyrocketed when that happened, right, Richie? Did you see that yesterday? By the way, Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce you. This is our special
Richie
guest,
Stone's
Richie
back.
Stone joining us.
Good to be here.
Are you related to Roger Stone?
No,
Just
no,
just
no,
thinking. I'd love an in with Roger.
He's from a long line of Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Richie, you currently serve as the head of the...
I'm the chairman of the Republican Party in Gilmer County.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
So you had a good convention, I trust. That's That's water over the dam. We're done with that.
Yeah,
and
Savannah was exciting. State convention. We have a new state chairman, David Schaefer.
Like him?
I do. I like him a lot. I'm excited about what they're planning on doing. They have a great strategy for targeting the suburbs of Atlanta, where we had so many losses in 2018. Rebuilding a lot of stuff there, getting back to the grassroots, and really, when you look at District 9 and District 14, where we are, Doug Collins, Tom Graves area, we're kind of the model for the grassroots get out the vote, efforts, and they're going to take a page out of that book and apply it, because we're the base of the party up here.
Yeah.
So it's
before we change, we were rolling on Iran. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. What would you do?
I was shocked when I heard how much that drone cost.
$130 million, right?
Yeah, how many of those we got? I think.
Yay.
130 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of
So
money.
if you were, what do you think is the wisest thing for Bush? I mean, it's there's no answer. I mean, how do we know? But what's your feeling on what we should do?
Well,
what would you do?
I don't know. I mean,
it's really tricky.
It's so convoluted, the whole thing.
Like I said earlier, North Korea's watching,
right?
China's watching,
all of them,
to see how we react.
And there's an undercurrent, kind of getting back into what you were talking about before the break. There's an undercurrent of folks that are involved with Iran. Talk about the Valerie Jarrett's, the Obama folks, and what. We don't know what really went on behind the scenes, because it seems like we find out more all the time about, it was really this much money in cash we gave them, not the sum that we originally thought, and it's new things every day. But Trump did say, when he was running for president, we kept seeing video of them saying death to America, but that's since stopped. You don't see that much anymore. I think Iran knows that Trump's not playing games, and
they've got a history of pushing. And do you think the purpose of those big time pushes is to try to get us back to the negotiating table? Now, Trump said, "Hey, I'll talk. Just give me a buzz."
You don't need to blow us up to go.
And then the next thing you know, you got the Japanese prime minister, and they're meeting with the Iranians. What do? Bam! They hit one of the ships.
What are they thinking?
Give me a break here.
Well, I think they thought when they got concessions from Kerry and Obama that they had it on easy street, and then Trump comes in and cancels it all, and now we're seeing where their economy's back down because the sanctions are back in. So
I have a comment. My comment is, it's another comment from my sources.
My deep state sources?
Yeah, I'm not going to. No, heck no. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, but you got a mole on the inside.
I'm not going to tell you who my source is, but it starts with a kid. And so you can figure it out how the word is that North Korea has for years been totally manhandled and controlled by the deep state, period. And that Young was just he had no choice, he had to do what they say, blah blah blah. So then my sources keep saying, yes, he did have his half brother killed. Yes, he did. And so we're horrified. And then he had those leaders that failed the talk, killed. So here's what my resource says. He says, or she says, or they say,
gotta get the right price.
These people were still the deep state. They were still infiltrating North Korea. And I think, I may be up a pipe dream, I'm just all hope, but I think he and Trump they really do have a plan. He wants his country to grow economically, and it just could be that the people that he has let get their demise were part of the deep state, the CIA.
We're part of the controlling interest there,
and they're just getting rid of them.
Well, I mean, there's a theory too that the reason that President Xi, isn't that the Chinese?
Chinese. Mm-hmm.
The reason, aren't they meeting right now? Don't they have high-level talks going on?
You're talking North Korea, China?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons is that he wants to be able to make sure that North Korea gets back on track with Trump, because when Trump and China gets together at the what do they call it? The
G20.
G20. Thank you. The G20. He wants to be able to say, he wants to have kind of a winning strategy to say, this is what I've done for you. Now, can you maybe go a little bit easier on the tariffs with us? I think that's just a convoluted strategy, but I don't know if that makes sense or not. Anybody?
Playing the long game.
All about strategy.
That's what he's good at. Mm-hmm. Playing the long game.
I have a theory.
Talk to me. Talk to me, oh theorist.
I know. This is not from my resource.
Oh, this is an
my
original.
Own theory.
This is an original Jane. Stand by for a Jane original, BKP.
You can call me W. No, don't. That's George Bush. Call me J. Okay.
You can call me Ray J.
I have a theory that why would China and Trump be smooching? Why would Russia, now he's in pressure, Russia be smoothing? Japan, they're smooching. When they really would, everyone thinks they want to take us over, and they used to, and they may now. But the theory is that when the Illuminati, I shouldn't have said that, forget that, when the deep state, they're moving, they are not any of these countries. They have been in operation for a very long time. I mean, they start with the Rothschilds, and when if the deep state took over the world, they would be left out too. China would be taken over. I mean, no one would have authority except the cabal, the big cabal. That's just a theory, and so they're saying this is better. We don't want that to happen. We want our autonomy.
We want our
and so they are, and I think Trump has made that very clear to them. They buy it, and so they're working behind the scenes to get rid of the big, huge Rothschild-driven. What can we call it? If we don't call it the Illuminati, then what could we call it?
Just
anything. The New World Order.
The New World Order, basically, yeah. You just go back to that.
Organization through banking, essentially.
Yeah.
Take over through banking, the money.
Right.
It's always about the money. Always about the money.
It's about the money.
So where are we? Okay, so we close out Iran. We're going to see what happens with that. Trump takes a step back, and he takes a more measured approach, wants to make sure that, let's think this through. Let's look at all the implications that we may face. Mm-hmm. I think that's smart. And a lot of the hawkers are, hit them hard. 3 times the value of the thing, 4 times the value of that drone. And he's just going, let's just kind of see what.
I think that's where it'll lay. I don't think there's an appetite for it.
There's definitely not an appetite in this country, I don't think, for war.
No, I don't think it ever gets through Congress.
And he ran on that, too.
But
absolutely.
I'm not sure we should let it go unanswered in any way. I'm not sure. We've got to have something.
You almost kind of wonder if he's being baited into it.
Well, of course
he's being baited into it.
You missed that part. We were saying.
Yeah.
He's been baited in, yeah. But he still has to respond, and it was right on the cusp of 20 and not 20 miles out. So that's ambiguous. If it were 15 in, even if it were 18 in, they could say, and Trump would have to say we were too far over. I mean, I don't know.
I want to say
we got to do.
I want to say something, and then BKP, of course, he's texting me. He has to chime in. He wants to get your opinion on his re-election speech. But this is Iran is a country that understands force or some sort of firm
dominance
response.
Yeah.
And so I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to want negotiations, that they're going to want a peaceful solution. Although, of course, we hope for a peaceful solution because, like we were saying, this country doesn't have an appetite for war. But that is something to keep in the back. And I'm sure that's something that Trump will keep in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I don't think they want a war, though, honestly. If we're all going to speak honestly, I don't.
No.
They don't want to go to war with us.
No. No, I agree.
And you
I
wonder
agree.
how far they will, if we don't respond immediately, or if we don't, how far they will go to be more provocative, do something else to accelerate. We don't know, of course, but
And
how
how
far are
that'll-
they willing to go? And Trump may be saying, "I'm just going to find out." I don't know.
I
They want to
honestly
push the
think
envelope. He might too.
Yeah. Well, Iran is pushing the envelope.
They have been for
Yeah. So,
years and
are we
years.
gonna?
There's a theory out there that says the reason that they're pushing the envelope is, they're in such dire straits. What do they have to lose?
right.
Exactly.
Fair.
The people are starving. Their economy's in shambles. There's some internal strife going on because of that fact. So,
And is it a vessel for them to get rid of Trump via the election here at home?
Sure.
see, that's why I'm thinking that
The old George W. Bush model of, hey, let's get in a war, we'll all support it on the left, and then once it starts, do a 180,
yeah,
and suddenly it's 1968 again.
yeah. You touched on something earlier about the about Biden's.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You guys want to? You guys want to go
Ukraine.
there?
Yeah, I do want to go there.
The
Jane's over there like, yeah, I do.
I don't like creepy Joe.
well, let's set it up. The mainstream media, ABC specifically, the reporter's name was Lamas, I believe.
Lamas.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Lamas.
Yamas, yeah.
Yamas.
Double L.
Yamas. Okay.
Okay. Came after Trump. Came after Biden. He's been grinding on him, wanting to discuss Ukraine, China, Hunter Biden, all of the above, and there's just an absolute pushback. Is this the mainstream media's attempt to one of two things: get that story behind us, so that we can move on to bigger and better? Oh, that's old news. We've talked about it. Or do they really want the crotchety old white guy gone?
Well, that's what I was going to say. If ABC, the majors, no, they're not majors, but the fake news are talking against Biden, they want to get rid of Biden. They've had their marching orders. That's what I think.
Well, that could be true. I mean, okay, who's going to be the one to bite the bullet
Right.
and go after him? Let's see.
Who do you think they're
ABC draws the short straw.
Yeah, right.
It's classic tactics, media tactics, taking down the leader. I don't think he's what they want. The far left, the progressive wing of the party, and it's a classic.
Do you think he's what anybody wants?
The only reason they would
I don't
want
think he
Biden,
can.
the reason I thought they may be pumping Biden up and is that I believe he is a patsy. He has no backbone. He has no brain, and they can totally control him. He is a puppet.
You set me up perfectly. I'm going to read just a little quote from Hannity.
Okay.
Biden's advisors are actually now even publicly begging him, stop talking about your political past because it's a massive liability.
Oh, lie.
He has no core ideas, no solutions, 8 years of failure, willing to say and do everything to try to appease the radical Democrat Socialist Party. But is anybody buying it? Remember his Anita Hill apology tour, flip-flopping on the Hyde Amendment? He held his position. Remember, folks, he has been in Congress for 40 years.
Right.
And having to pander to the real Speaker of the House, AOC. That's what Hannity said, and I thought it was a great quote.
When you look at the electorate of the Democratic Party primary voters, I want to say like 25-30% are African American females, and then it's even bigger in the South, in the southern states when we talk about delegate counts. And Joe Biden is the preferred candidate right now, whether it's because he's attached to Obama or just name recognition for being on the scene for 50 years. But I think it's an effort to take him down, knock him down a few pegs, because I think they know he can't beat Trump.
Well, Piers Morgan had an interview with Trump. He was a huge, who Piers Morgan is. Yeah. He was a huge detractor of Trump early on.
Really.
And now all of a sudden, man, this guy's come 180 degrees, and he's as big a supporter. He said, regardless of who runs, now this is just him saying this. He seems to be somewhat informed. He said no one can beat Trump.
No.
Especially the
I don't
candidate
believe
base that's out
anyone
there
can.
right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want to assume anything.
Yeah,
but
let's all knock.
I think we see a lot of the elements of 1984 with Reagan.
When he had the landslide against Mondale?
Yeah, no one thought he would do that either.
Someone from the far left, they're going to nominate someone from the far left, they're going to eat their own and go with a leftist candidate, and that's going to even make it worse.
If we go back to Biden, what's going to hurt him worse, the Ukraine-China thing and with Hunter, or Hunter's sordid past? I mean, this guy's a train wreck.
Yeah, he's a train wreck.
When you get into it, when you get into the the divorces, the paternity suits from that woman from Arkansas, being discharged from the Navy, for being a druggie. I mean,
they're going to say Hunter's the son, but Biden's got enough. He's got enough. I mean, bragging about coercing the Ukrainian
prosecutor.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
I'm leaving here in 6 hours, and if this guy's not fired, you're not going to see a nickel. Remember that
alone. And then when you say this guy was investigating his son, that alone should disqualify him.
Right.
You know what kind of person he is. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but he's bragging about it. And what I'm thinking about is, though, I really can't figure out who would be the candidate, because I think Kamala Harris sounds like she's got it kind of together. Other people think Rush says she hadn't got a brain in heaven. I don't know if she has a chance.
I think she's being controlled.
Corey, well, all of them.
You got to remember, California is also going to be one of the early states this year. Huge delegate count for the Democrats.
Yeah,
so that could be big for Kamala Harris.
What about Elizabeth Warren? She's the one that I know. Pocahontas has been coming up though in the polls.
Now it's
if you can believe the polls.
Fakeahontas.
Maybe
the new one.
Oh my goodness.
I think Trump would love that.
I don't think. What's everybody? Let's take a quick run through the panel.
I'm just
Biden gonna make it?
No. Well, okay. Here's what I'm kind of comparing it, or I'm going to compare it to. Remember when Obama was running the first time? And you had all these Republican candidates, and there was never one that really emerged as. And finally, John McCain made it through, but there was never really one
what's the
that
difference?
was one that everyone could kind of rally behind. And it's like that now with the Democrats. It's like they just cannot find, because they all suck.
Be all like 2012, I think.
By the way, you broke a cardinal rule.
What's that?
His name is no name.
McCain, name McCain.
No name. Just for future reference, we don't say his name. His name is no name.
The name that shall not be spoken.
Back to the Biden thing with Hunter Biden and all of that. It's another example of blowback on the left, where by going after the Trump children, they made it where children are no longer off limits, and then going after Trump on Russia and all that. So now that opens the door for examining who really was in Ukraine and China, and children are no longer off limits. And like you said, you look at Hunter Biden. I mean,
nobody's off limits.
Where do you
anymore.
start there?
If you have a parent in the spotlight in any way, you are fair game as well.
Yeah.
And if they don't have any info, they'll make it up.
That's right. They will dig through every single thing you have ever done, ever said, ever thought. It's all fair game.
But as far as the predictions go, who do you think?
I don't think Biden's going to make it.
I don't
either. I think that's.
But
so that's unanimous among us.
Yeah. So who? I don't know who's going to. Well, I'm going to watch those debates.
What about
We're
Bernie?
going to learn a lot.
We haven't mentioned his name once.
That's who I'd put my money on if I had to.
Really?
I think the polls are misleading. We all know that. We saw what he did against Hillary, where he would, like Michigan, she was up by 12, 15 points. That was the first Michigan surprise. The second one came in November with Trump. But I think he's got a strong core of support. And in a primary election race, if you have 25%, that won't leave you, you're in good shape.
Right. He's got a constituency that feels like they were screwed in the last election. And
they're motivated.
And probably rightly so. So they're coming back stronger than ever in terms of his support. Now, whether he can reach out to, the periphery to put him over the top, I don't know.
Here's the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
Back then, he was the only blatant socialist. And the young people think it is panacea. It is the way we should go. Everything free. It's
free college.
This is the wonderful utopia. Now there are more than one socialist communist. Just call it what it is.
And
he's going to have. Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot of followers, but he's going to have some competition, and I can't wait. I want to know what their tactic is going to be. Do they turn on each other and be vicious? Are they all kind of cling together, not to destroy themselves? They've got to do something.
You know, when Bernie ran the first time, he had something they could hang his hat on, because we didn't have Trump as president, and he didn't have anything to fight on with all of the economic gains that's been posted over the last 2 years. So I'm just baffled as to what he can come out with to say, well, you know, the fact that we're record-setting territory again in the stock market, that's no good. The fact that we've got full employment, that's no good. What?
It's
Where
a lot
does he
easier
go?
for him to argue to keep going left while a leftist was in office than now to argue against this economy.
But what he's saying is,
without a doubt,
Obama and I handed all this to Trump. I mean, that's his only thing he can say about the economy. We made it, and that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absurd.
But they want to believe it, so they will. I'll tell you what one of the scariest things, the thing I'm most worried about is if they aren't making more headway, Trump's still strong, what are they going to do to really disrupt? I mean, talk about a false flag. They're that desperate, and so I worry how they're going to create havoc, big havoc, and blame it on.
Well, here's a wild card, though. The fact that there are no longer super delegates, which kind of maintained order within the party.
Yeah, that's one thing they did.
And there's so many candidates. What, 20?
23 or 26?
20,
yeah.
Right. We'll just say 20 for the sake of
round numbers.
Easy subtraction.
So 20 people are going to split all those delegates. No longer any super delegates. So what are the chances they go into? I think they're having it in Milwaukee. They go into convention with no one with a majority. We have a contested floor vote, like it's Polk or something in the 1850s.
Yeah.
And I think that's a realistic possibility.
Yeah, there's going to be so much fodder for speculation over the course of the next 18 months. It's going to be unbelievable.
Can you imagine if it's like what happened in '68 after Kennedy died and
in Chicago,
right? And what
the whole
happened
world
outside.
is watching.
Right.
Riots, everything.
Just a complete self-destruction. We always hear the Republicans are divided and it's a civil war, but I don't know if we don't have the same thing in the Democratic Party.
Biden, you remember when Daddy Bush stood up there in the UN and said, a new world order.
I'll
it is
never
a
forget
good thing. It is a good thing. Well, Biden's just floated physical revolution. He floated it as sure as anything in this world.
They're just deep staters.
Dog whistle, huh?
Yeah.
Thank God we got Trump on the other side. Did anybody watch the speech the other night? We talked about that.
So that's and BKP. Like I said, even though he's not here, he's still here. So he's been texting me, and he wants to get everybody's opinion on the speech.
Yeah,
so,
well,
Rick,
I mean, Jane and I did the show for Brian on Wednesday, and we
spent 30 minutes at least, or maybe the whole hour.
Yeah, a whole hour
on the speech
with Josh's help, talking about the speech. And again, I said Wednesday, the highlight to me was, notwithstanding all of the promises kept. I mean, you could march through that and count all the promises kept. The highlight to me was the beginning with Melania. Can that woman wear yellow? To quote Rush Limbaugh, can that woman wear yellow? Wear yellow?
That woman can wear anything.
Anything.
Let me tell you.
Very elegant.
And represents this country and the president so well. I mean, she's just so classy.
Yeah.
And you think of what we've had to deal with. But and then the other thing that was the highlight was Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I mean, you talk about another class act, one that was available to that man 24/7 because of her position, trying to run a family with her husband and 3 kids under 10 years old. It's no wonder that she just said,
the way she's been treated too.
It's just awful. We covered that. But what about you? Highlights from the convention or from the. You know what I said?
That's when my comment.
I misspoke, but
don't,
you know
don't
what?
step on my comment.
Okay.
Well, go ahead. What's your comment?
Yeah.
What do you want to make your comment?
I was kidding. You can
No,
step
no,
on
you
anything.
know where I'm going. You know where I was thinking because we talked about it.
My takeaway, in the general sense, is so huge to me. I've seen every one of his rallies. He's fabulous. People stand up and yell. He stepped up not one notch but two notches. I mean, it was above what he's ever done. He was saying what they have done. He said the emails. I mean, he laid out where they have broken the law in no uncertain terms. He laid it out. And he said, I will never let you down. They are trying to divide us. And I had my notes. I should have brought them. The third one, I can't remember. That man is serious. And then he elicited from the crowd even more response than he's gotten. He has stepped it up. I mean, it is, and I believe the American people are going to get so far behind him.
Yep.
We actually had a watch party in LJ, and
was it well attended?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Is that it was kind of a late noticing. Went out from the state party. You know, hey, we're going to try to organize some watch parties. This was maybe 2 weeks ago Friday, so about a week and a half to plan. Threw it together, and I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting a whole lot as far as people coming to a restaurant to watch a speech on television. We had over 50 people there by 5:30.
Wow!
At River Street Tavern, which is a lot of you know River Street Tavern in LJ. It's not huge, so that 50 seemed like 200.
50 seemed like 500. Yeah,
it's one of Biden's tricks,
Right, absolutely, and folks hung around and we watched it. And I think that was my main takeaway. It's just the enthusiasm, not only in Orlando, but we had watch parties throughout the state, and they were all very, very well attended. Senator Gooch, I spoke to him last night, and he went to one over in Dawsonville. He said they had a huge turnout. Mm-hmm. So rural America especially, we've been engaged the whole time. That's something that I think a lot of folks discount going into this next election year, is how many people who voted in 2016 who aren't locked into the everyday like us, but the average rank and file voter who are completely locked in because Trump has a way of doing that, of keeping people engaged and interested. And even a lot of the so-called never-Trumpers of the time are now on board, and I think it's another thing.
Piers Morgan, for one.
I mean, if Piers Morgan can hop over, he finally got his eyes opened up. The scales are off.
Came off.
BKP touched on during the week the same thing that you were saying. I know he went to a watch party in Canton. Some folks that he likes to hang with, and I don't know if he just went for the free dinner, but he said it was like being on the property, being in Orlando, being in the Amway Dome.
Yeah.
Because every time they would say either CNN sucks or USA, the people locally in the watch parties would be chanting right along with them.
That's what we saw.
That's pretty cool.
Clapping at on the applause lines. That it was like being there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know what was brilliant? I think what was brilliant, because he is incorporating America, the people, into the government. You're the reason I'm here. I don't owe anybody anything. When he took the vote, do we want to do Make America Great Again? Do we want to do Keep America Great? So he says we're going to vote. So immediately, I was watching my own reactions to what was going on, and immediately I said, man, I get to vote. I mean, I'm part of the crowd. Really. I mean, think about it. And then he went into this and he worked them up. It's just like when we used to do pep rallies. I was a cheerleader in high school and college. You did that. In a pep rally, you'd ag them on, and get ready for the big, whatever, but you'd build them up, which is what he did. Brilliant.
He's a natural showman.
He knew what he wanted the answer to be,
You're right.
He is.
You're right. And Rush touched on it the other day, and I quote him a lot because I listened to him, and I think he's brilliant.
Absolutely.
But he said some of the only people that can control the crowd, like myself. you know, for an hour and a half is Donald J. Trump, and he does it methodically. He doesn't just introduce everybody at the beginning of the show, my family members, dun dun dun, get that out of the way, and then go into some monotone drone. What he does is he mixes it up. You know, he'll be 20 minutes in, he'll say, and then, you know, we need to recognize the great so-and-so of such and such.
Right.
Look at what he just accomplished. You know, thanks for being here, stand up.
Right.
And
Makes him feel important.
They are. Yeah, he does.
Exactly.
I want to say this, and being from the younger generation, you know, you have the sort of stigma is, oh, well, everyone in the younger generation is liberal. And that's not necessarily true. There are tons of people out there my age that are conservative. And the feeling that I get now is that people are excited to be American again. They're excited to be in this country. You know, we went through that period of 8 years where it was like
the apology tour.
Exactly. You know, people are apologizing for being American, and now everybody is excited again.
Well, the Great Depression's over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You just look around.
Yeah, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I think, like you're saying, with millennials and you know, folks under the age of 35, it was tough during those Obama years because there weren't a lot of jobs available. And then you hear folks criticize, oh, the worst generation ever, but, you know, times weren't very good. And now it's like the floodgates have been.
They're even good for the left. And when it gets down to the bottom line, they don't want it to go back like it was.
I agree with
they're
you.
making money
Right.
too.
And that's where you're getting a lot of your converts.
So we got
like you said.
about what I was alluding to, the big disaster, the economy. If they can hit that before the election, if they can bring that down, that could be a real
Oh, they'd love to see the stock market.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we make room for Jesse, how about give me your thoughts real quickly on when you think, do you think the grassroots, the fact that Trump is on the ballot, will that like BKP thinks, will that possibly be able to drag the House back
I think
to
so.
the Republicans?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a district by district basis,
Right.
But I think a lot of attention is going to be focused on a lot of these moderate districts. And what we got to remember
Is it going to be a coattail swing, though?
the people who put the Democrats back in power in these moderate districts did not vote for Democrats to go up there and do Russia and the Green New Deal and play games.
Conspiracy.
And since then, we found out that Russia was a hoax. So anyone who was on the fence there now knows that. So yeah, I think they're on board with it because of the economy more than anything. And I do think it's going to have a coattail effect. And I think it's going to be, like I said, 1984. I mean, I don't knock on wood again, but I think if things stay the way they are without anything drastic happening, I think it'll have a huge effect.
Well, Trump demonized the left in his speech and said, "Woe be to us if they get in power,
right?
If they control it, because it's gonna go south in a hurry."
Well, just imagine the retaliation of like Rush says. You know, can you imagine what it would be like after, you know, oh, you gave us 4 years of Trump, so now you're going to be made to pay.
Right. Now, I'm sorry, but
No,
we have to wrap it up because we've got to make room for Jessie and give her some time. But thank you all, of course, for being here. Thank you all for watching the All-Star Political Panel. I think we've had a good discussion today.
Did we do you proud, BKP?
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a text message in a minute. But anyway, like I said, when we come back, we will have Jesse Barton here with us from North Georgia Senior Living,
the lighting on.
with Community Relations Director from Cameron Hall and Ella J. So stay with us. We will be right back.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lauren Hunter, sitting in for BKP this morning, and we have now with us Jessie Barton. Jessie, you are the Community Relations Director from Cameron Hall and LJ.
Yes.
And I know that you know, but we'll tell our viewers as well that June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month.
It is.
So we have a couple of facts here. 50 million people worldwide live with Alzheimer's and other dementias, and then 5 million of those 50 million are suffering are Americans, excuse me.
Yes.
So, Jessie, we were talking about a little bit before we came back. There's a difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. So, you want to tell us about that difference?
There is. So, one of the things that we have found out is that dementia is kind of the umbrella term. So, we think about cancer. We'll use that one as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Under your umbrella of cancer, you've got skin cancer, prostate, breast, all these different types of cancer. So, dementia is the overarching umbrella, and Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia.
Okay.
So Alzheimer's is considered a dementia, but people kind of always use those interchangeably. But there's several types of dementia. There's Alzheimer's. There's Lewy body dementia, which is what the late actor Robin Williams was diagnosed with. There is vascular dementia that often happens after a stroke, maybe even with some smokers, that their carotid arteries are blocked. It keeps oxygen from getting to the brain. And then, just our everyday memory loss. And so people are automatically thinking, I lost my keys today.
Right.
I wonder if I have Alzheimer's. And it's so not that. People will always jump to memory loss being Alzheimer's, but there's so many differences.
There's other symptoms as well. You can't just say, oh, I forgot something. I could have Alzheimer's.
I know. When I go do my trainings, people are like, well, I forgot this and this and this. And I was like, it's just that you're busy.
So what kind of training is that you're...
So I train public safety and law enforcement officers on how to interact with dementia and Alzheimer's when they are in the field. So a lot of times, and the project happened because I was in gerontology class. I had a friend who was a law enforcement officer, and they're like, well, I had this call the other day. Did I handle it okay? The guy ended up having Alzheimer's and was a Maddie's call, which is our missing call system here in Georgia for anybody over 50.
Okay.
So they were prompting me and saying, well, did I do this right? I did this? Was that okay? So it made me think, how much training do our officers in public safety actually get? Very little. Like, this person had been on special victims, so he got a little bit more, but overall they don't get a ton of training on dementia specific, and there's so many behaviors that manifest out of dementia that can interact with a call. It can make it go bad. It can make it, tough to difficult. So
right, and then you can have a potentially bad situation because if the first responder gets frustrated and because they don't understand that the person that they're talking to is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, and then it just can escalate. So it's definitely good that they're getting that training. I saw something the other day. It was these officers are now getting training for helping people with autism.
Yes.
So
very similar in approach, very similar in handling. So a lot of times, just the physical approach, how you approach either them personally or as you're coming up to their vehicle if you've made a stop. So very similar in autism, because it does require special handling a lot of times. And you've got, as a public safety official, you've got a split second to make a decision that will protect you as well as protect the person that you are responding to.
Right. So what are some ways, tell us about some ways that people can get involved in maybe with Alzheimer's and dementia training, or even just at Cameron Hall in general?
Sure. So I do the official training for the Alzheimer's Association. We've got a great website, alzheimers.org, alz.org.
Okay.
So go check that out. Pick your local chapter, which is the Georgia chapter, and there's listings of trainings if you want to go attend a workshop and learn more about it, or if you want to get involved as a trainer such as I am. There's ways to do that as well. Or you can give me a call at Cameron Hall and I'll give you the hookup.
Great. So do y'all have anything else going on over at Cameron Hall that you'd like to talk about? I know a couple weeks ago I was here and y'all were building a garden.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
How's that going?
So the tomatoes are growing. They've been bringing in, one of the residents brought in a big handful of little grape tomatoes, and they're like, we think these are ready.
That's awesome.
Yes. But on July 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. we're having a mojito garden party.
Ooh.
So we'll be serving mojitos on the patio, and you'll also get to take home your own garden so you can make mojitos at home. So yes, so reserve your spot. I know Brian doesn't really go out a lot and do a lot of stuff outside, so we will definitely get you in his place to come have mojitos.
I'm okay with that.
That works.
That sounds good to me.
Yes.
All right. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Great job filling in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We do miss you, but you had a great fill-in.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. It was good to be here. And thank you everyone at home for watching. We really appreciate your time, of course. And unfortunately, we are not going to be able to have our pet of the week because the volunteer is not going to be able to make it. Rena is not going to be able to come out. She had something come up. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see our pet of the week. But we'll definitely have him or her next week whenever BKP is back. So we hope that you all have a great weekend and definitely going into your next week. Thank you for joining us again this morning. BKP will be back Monday morning at 8 a.m. And don't miss my own. I have a Facebook live show as well on Team FYN Sports every Monday morning at 10:10 a.m. called Instant Replay, North Georgia's only live online sports show. So we will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend.